Hello there. So, I assume you're tuning into this video to get a bit of an understanding of whether or not it's a good idea to remap your 530E or 330E. The principles are the same for both, to be fair. So, I'm just going to start with a few stats first, and then I'll give you my experience. So, this is my 530E, which is a 19 plate. I've owned it for 2 years. I've done roughly 20,000 miles, and of that time, the first 6 months it was unmapped, and then the rest 18 months since, it's been had a stage 1 remap. For those that don't know, a stage 1 remap is basically just an ECU remap, so everything is still standard on the car. They just rework the ECU. So this car, when you get it originally, has 252 brake. Now that includes the petrol engine, which is a 2-litre turbo, which has got 181 brake, and then you get an electric motor, which is 110 brake, and together that works out at 252 bhp. Now the big issue with that is this car weighs 2 tons, which is 200 kilograms more than the standard 530i, which we'll talk about in a minute. When you get this car originally, you're basically running with 181 brake, because that's what you're generally in when you're using the petrol engine, and that's only when the turbo's kicking in you get that. So a lot of the time, actually, you're probably running on 100 brake or maybe less when you're dottering about. So the problem with that is it is vastly underpowered. So what you find is you're always on the gas, and if you want to overtake, the delay, there's quite a significant delay between the turbo kicking in, so you get a turbo lag, and the electric kicking in, when then you get the real boost of power, and it goes really well. But that feels like an age, and it's probably a second or more before you get. It's probably even longer than that. It feels a long time. So if you're looking to do an overtake, for example, you really need to plan it, or drop down some gears so your turbo's in already before you start. So there's a lot of planning involved when you get it originally. Now, when you remap, which is what I did, obviously, I've remapped to the engine itself does about 260, 265 brake, and you still get 110 from the electric, and that works out at about 340 brake. So we've basically gained almost 90 brake from the standard. Now, for me, the key thing here, it needs to be a safe map. Now, the comparison for me is the 530i from BMW comes standard with 255 brake. Now, it's the exact same engine, it's the same turbo that's in the 530E. Now, it's detuned in the 530E to 181 brake, and it's 255 brake in the 530i. So basically, all you're doing is you're remapping the 530E 181 brake to the same as the 530i 255 brake. And now that's a very safe stage 1 remap for the car, and there's no need to go higher than that. You can go much higher than that, but when you go above that, then you're starting to bring in the tolerances of engine, turbo, and so on. So keep it safe, and then you won't have any issues. So what I've found since I've upgraded, or since I've went to a stage 1 remap, is I've always got power, so it's always in the power band. There's not a real delay for the turbo, and actually you don't really need the turbo because the engine's putting out enough power regardless. The electric kicks in and you get a surge, but you're always in the power band, and you can always overtake, and you can always move around objects or pass cars without really any issue. Now, it transforms the car. I'll be perfectly honest, it transforms what is a really good car into a really, really good car. Because you've always got that power, and you can always, it's always on tap. And what I've noticed is the fuel economy has went up significantly as well. And the reason for that is you're never as hard on the accelerator So you used to be full on the accelerator a lot because you're waiting for the turbo to kick in and you're waiting for it to get the electric boost as well. Now, because you're in the power band constantly, you don't have a need for a heavy right foot. Therefore, you're always there and it always goes. And the actual consumption, my average consumption at the minute is 57 mpg. Now that's collective with the electric, right? But on average, just with petrol, the 2 litre petrol, you'll probably get standard. I used to get 36, 37, 38 just with the petrol. And I'm now probably 10 miles a gallon better off now. I'm probably in 45, 46 just in petrol. So there's a significant increase in fuel economy because, like I said, the pedal's not constantly on the floor because you're needing that power or you're waiting for the turbo to kick in. So I suppose the question is, should you upgrade? Absolutely. It transforms the car. The one caveat is whenever you take it for a service, particularly if you're going to a BMW garage, just tell them you've remapped the car and there won't be any issues. Don't go mental and try and get 200, 280, 300 plus from the petrol engine. You can, and some people run that successful for a period of time, but there's no need to really put the pressure on the engine for trying to boost that, because actually you've got plenty. You've got 260 with the petrol and you've got that extra 110. And this car is proper quick if it needs to be, but it's a fabulous cruiser all the time, and you don't have that issue. Another thing worth noting, I suppose, and it doesn't really make any difference if you've mapped it or not. Well, it does. That's not strictly true. It does a little. When you're in town, the electric's fine because you've got that instant electric power. But if you don't have any electric and you're running about town with the petrol engine, you really notice the lack of power from original state. So that initial 181 brake, because let's say there's a 2-ton car with a battery and the electric motor, it's a heavy car, but you don't really notice it the same after the remap. You just seem to have power on tap constantly. So that's the review, really. Don't be for the extra. I think I paid £265 or something. It's an absolute money well spent, and you get it back in fuel economy. It transforms the drive of the ride of the car and the drivability of the car. And if you ever need a little bit of extra power, it's proper quick. I think we're now about 4.5 seconds to 60 now, which is something like a second and a half or 2 seconds faster than factory, for those that are interested. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day. Thank you.